Hey, Book Dragons, I am so glad that you're here with me today. I recently read the book Upgrade by Blake Crouch. This is my third Blake Crouch book that I've read. I read Dark Matter and I read Recursion, and so Upgrade was the next natural progression, of course. And this was my patron pick for the first quarter of 2025, so that just really worked out great for me. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about what Upgrade is about. I won't go into any spoilers. This is a spoiler-free review, but I want to give you enough to whet your taste buds. Upgrade follows Logan Ramsey, who is the son of a famous genetics scientist. And over the decades, she has made great strides in various different fields, such as agriculture and human genetics as well. But at some point, something goes drastically wrong. Fast forward a few years into the future, Logan is working for the Genetic Protection Agency. This is an agency designed to keep scientists from taking genetic research too far, but really what it ends up doing is canceling most genetic research altogether. So it's a very different world than we might have expected when scientists cracked the human genome over a decade ago. It's a science fiction story that feels like it is set in our near future, probably 2030, maybe even 2040. It's really close to our timeline because there's a lot of things in the world that are reminiscent of technology we have now, but just enough on the edge of new technology to not be reminiscent of our current time. And it really deals well with different subjects surrounding genetic research, especially the ethics of said genetic research. During a raid on a rogue genetic lab, Logan Ramsey is caught in an explosion that changes the course of his life forever. Lots of changes are happening to his body and to the lives of those closest to him, and he ultimately is going to have to make a choice between serving the greater good or preserving the potential of science. And the book does a really good job of showing how difficult that decision can be. I really enjoyed this book, guys. It was really fast-paced, as all Blake Crouch books are that I have read. It's got great character work. You really get invested in Logan Ramsey's life and the decisions that he's having to make and learning to live with the after effects of what's been done to him. It is just a wild ride. Talk about a fast-paced thriller. This is it. If you've never read anything by Blake Crouch, you definitely need to, and this book is no different. I personally think this is my favorite of the books I've read so far by him, because I'm really fascinated by genetic research, and this book is chock full of it. It does a really good job of going into some of the details around genetic research. But if I did have one criticism, it's that it had a lot of scientific jargon that was being thrown at you in the form of genetic code markers. And I get that the genetic sequences are alphanumeric. That makes perfect sense to me. But there were times when the book was chock full of it, and I just think it was a little bit overdone. But it didn't take me out of the story necessarily. It just annoyed me a little bit at times. I found myself glossing over the genetic sequences when he would start talking about them. And there are times in the book that the author will tell you what a specific genetic code is for, and that's great. But oftentimes you're just looking at a string of numbers and letters, and it's like, oh, okay, I'm just going to pass on and read after that. So that's the only drawback I can see to this tale. But it's a fascinating ride, and it deals with some great themes around scientific ethics and the morality of certain choices that have to be made to preserve the greater good. It really showcases how far people will go in the name of science. And I think it's really good at answering the question, what if this were to come to pass? What if we could rewrite the human genetic code? What if we could end disease and make the human life better? And would that automatically eradicate other open sores in society? And I really enjoyed the ending of the book. I thought it was so well done. And it was emotional too, because you really see how much Logan has lost to do what needs to be done. So I highly recommend that you read Upgrade. It's just an absolutely wild ride. And I absolutely love this book. I give it a big heart. That's how much I like the book. And I hope you'll read this book and other books by Blake Crouch. Let me know in the comments what you think. Have you read any of Blake Crouch's books? Have you read this book? And if you haven't read it yet, what are your thoughts? Do you think you're going to read it? And make sure to check the cards at the end to find my review for another Blake Crouch book, Recursion. Until next time, guys, make sure you read more books, and I'll talk to you soon. And I'd like to give a huge shout out to all my patrons. I really appreciate all your support for the channel.